Yeah, horror short movies can be kind of good, but not every one of them needs to be turned into an 80-minute movie.
Those were up, and they did.
More smarts, and my... He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's COrleone here, and I am here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a spin-off in a certain horror franchise that I have been reviewing. And it's an anthology horror franchise, a found footage one, except this is not a new installment of this series. This is actually going to be for the very first spin-off of the series. This spin-off was based off the very first short in the first film. And yeah, it was turned into a movie in 2016. So this review is going to be 2016's Siren, directed by Greg Bishop, instead of David Bruckner. What's the plot? Well, feeling excited about getting married, groomed to be Jonah and his groomsmen depart for an epic bachelor party. However, as one thing leads to another, the four friends end up in a remote mansion which houses a private underground strip club for a select clientele with extreme taste. And before long, Jonah sees firsthand the dark wonders of the secret nightclub as he finds enigmatic Lily singing a strange but entrancing song from the other side of the glass of his VIP room. Now there's no turning back, but is beautiful Lily a victim or a predator, an angel or a demon? Yeah, well, how was this made? Well, in May 2015, Chiller Films slated Siren, a VHS spinoff of the infamous segment Amateur Night, written by Ben Collins and Luke Petrowski, would premiere in 2016. In August 2015, a Cool News reported that production was underway in Savannah, Georgia, with Hannah Furman reprising her role, and this time Greg Bishop, who I think directed one of the segments from VHS Viral. What was it? I think it was Dante the Great. I think it was Dante. Either way, he wanted them. David Bruckner, creator of the original segment, was originally going to direct but would pass on the offer due to his involvement in a cancelled Friday the 13th reboot. Producer Brad Miska then offered the film to Bishop, who previously collaborated on VHS Viral, which we all know. Bruckner was heavily involved with the project, serving as executive producer though, second unit director, and oversaw the development of the screenplay with Collins and Petrowski. The filmmakers opted not to use the found footage format to differentiate the feature from the short film. And even though the studio was pushing for other actresses for the role of Lily, director Greg Bishop insisted that Hannah Furman reprise her role as Lily because she was the primary reason the character was so iconic in the short. Furman was initially hesitant to return to the role of Lily, but was ultimately signed on to the project after being drawn in by Bruckner's pitch. The actress partook in auditioning for the role during casting. And for the parts of the movie where Lily sings, the filmmakers decided in pre-production to utilize Hannah Furman's singing voice. She would lip-sync to a guide track for the first take to just get the melody and timing of the song. The filmmakers never intended to use that take though. Then in the following takes, she would sing it for real. Justin Welborn was cast as Mr. Nix, also starring Bruckner's film The Signal and Bishop's Dance of the Dead. And then the filming got scheduled for 18 days and budgeted under $500,000. Post-production was rushed, and as a result, final visual FX shots were not approved by the director because the post house had to cut them in and deliver the movie. So after that, the film was shot. Siren would go on to be a limited release for a few days on December 2nd, 2016 in theaters, and then got released to DVD 4 days later, December 6th, 2016, and then temporarily on Netflix January 1st, 2020. I guess it obviously has mixed reaction from critics because not many critics reviewed it. Now as for my reaction, now let me say my thoughts on the short film Amateur Night from the first VHS movie. I will say that is the one of the only few segments from the first film I really liked. Heck, nearly everybody says that's the only good segment in that movie. It had a very terrifying antagonist and some very creative scares and gore. But however, if there is a criticism of that segment, each of the three main characters in that segment were very irritating as fuck in it though. Now as for my reaction to the movie adaptation. Yeah. I think it's safe to say this really did not need to be randomly turned into an 80-minute movie, but I thought it was, well, fine. Fast forward to the Siren movie, we're just pretty much giving us prequel story to Lily, much like the segment, a few guys go out looking for a good time, and then find themselves in a dangerous situation. It's kind of just the same exact plot as Amateur Night, except add in some villains and make it 80 minutes long. As a fan of the Amateur Night short, the prequel sequel does not do the series justice. What made this short great was the romantic elements. You just couldn't help but fall in love with Lily. She was kind of cute, quiet, shy girl who likes you. Of course, with quite a dark secret, that's part of the appeal to many sickos. This film just rushes every encounter with Lily and does next to nothing when it comes to expanding any sort of story surrounding her, and not to mention, she seemed to change from a succubus to Siren out of nowhere in between these two films. Like, she did not need to be changed, she could have just stayed a succubus. The movie is just for a very select demographic, and the demographic is the pro-Lily demographic where Lily appears in a movie, they're going to find something to like about it. The acting in this is mainly a miss with a couple exceptions, and the story does have its cliches. There were some other interesting concepts presented, but were not fleshed out enough. Sad to say, the main and only reason someone to watch this is for Lily. The story just really drags without her, as the guys were not interesting in the least. The hints of excellence come from the inclusion of a new creature that helps carry the story along. Lily's action scenes were also a plus, and her character's overall direction throughout the movie. In a good chunk of time, the story picks up, and for the most part, I can safely say I did kind of enjoy some things I saw, but let's get the bad out of the way first. In part because the movie did exactly that. The writing, especially the first part of the movie, is pretty bad. Whoever wrote the banter needs a lot more practice in that particular art. That plus some pretty bad acting was almost enough to make me turn the movie off. Luckily, just as I was deciding not to throw a good time after bad, they reached a supernatural strip club, like either brothel, general sin palace, it's kind of hard to tell. The idea was itself intriguing enough to keep me watching, and from there, with the exception of a bit of hammy acting, resistantly really bad acting from the bachelor party guys, things improved a bit. Not in the least bit, because the opportunities for banter grew more infrequent. Not to mention, this movie, our main antagonist of this movie is Nyx, all because he basically has Lily locked up, likely to prevent her from more scenarios like this. So this movie literally victimizes and tries to make Nyx the big bad guy we're supposed to be against. And yet, we're supposed to root for Lily to escape, and root for these guys to free this evil, nasty succubus that most of us VHS viewers know she is not innocent in the slightest. If you're going to make a movie about creatures from Greek mythology, do a little reading before you start filming. Sirens are mythical creatures whose songs were so beautiful they were able to lure sailors and their ships onto the rocks, causing imminent death. Some researchers say they had the bodies of birds with the head of a woman and vice versa. They did not have demon tails. Yeah, I don't know why the fuck Lily has a tail in this. She didn't even have when she had this split face form, she didn't even have a tail in the Amateur Night segment. I even found out they were even cannibals too. This movie even really never knew where to go. It started out muddled and it ended muddled. I don't know if the producers of the film had a knockdown, drag out flight with the censors, but it appeared to me that Siren's nude body was blurred out of vision. I don't know what that was all about, and it was very distracting, and no explanation was given as to the attraction of the girl and that one particular man. I'm not sure why they needed to create such an elaborate story when the simple plot of an attractive woman that lingers around nightclubs looking for men to capture or kill was good enough. They could have should have just made this a longer story of the story we got in the VHS film, instead of just trying to mix in Eli Roth's Hostel, a Rob Zombie film, Jeepers Creepers, and then tossing in a fan favorite character from VHS and completing that, boom, you got a movie. That's pretty much all this is. Combine Hostel, Rob Zombie stuff, Jeepers Creepers, Lily for Amateur Nights, that's pretty much all this movie is. That was literally it. Now onto the good qualities of the movie. I found this film to be quite unique, though. It was kind of based off VHS and another piece of media, Amateur Nights. The story itself, the groom releases a siren after being bewitched by her, and murder, gore, fight, and survival follows. The only thing that did wrap, one of the things that does annoy me, the story takes a while to start up, very slow to begin, and put me in a bit of a bad mood of it. It even takes me a while to try to get used to this story. And I was also rather kind of bored with it. It kind of made the beginning of the storyline, the action much more exciting though. Eventually, the special effects, I have to mention, they're shockingly good. They're very realistic. They look like the siren herself was something you could come across the street when walking at night. It isn't that the goal of special effects. Unfortunately, of course, there was the insane blood spatter that just isn't realistic at all. The gore factor, shock horror, and that was a real disappointment. Afterfilm was just so kind of strong in some other stuff, and honestly, the makeup on Lily looked way better in the segments. Like, it looked more terrifying in the segment. Here, it just, you can tell all the CGI put into the effects this time around. They don't have much, her split face doesn't have much strong of an impact this time around. These VHS movies do seem to exist in an alternate reality where many of our nightmares exist. I think that VHS and Bloody Disgusting could expand on all their shorts and show us more of this hellish world. I mean, granted, not all the shorts are gold, but there are some various directors involved for each, but there are some gems in there like Amateur Night is based off this, which this is based off of. 103198 also loved that one. Even that could have got a film adaptation. A Ride in the Park zombie movie VHS style, yes, please. That should be a movie adaptation. I would love to see an actual movie be about a zombie and its point of view. And then Safe Haven stuck with me. That's the number one segment that should be a movie. But now the next one they've given a movie is Slumber Party Alien Abduction. And it got a film adaptation called Kids vs. Aliens that just came out last week. And they once again did a very good job. I like they recasted Hannah Furman as Lily because I don't think any other actress can play off this role. Her big eyes and a pretty little face, kind of weird and somewhat sexy. Hannah Furman played the part very well. And there's a nice little particular sex scene between her and Chase Williamson. Very brutal and erotic. And Justin Welborn also did a good job playing this creepy, weird Mr. Nix, who should not be considered the villain because he clearly seemed like he's trying to make sure Lily does not get out into the world and try to go rape and kill more, either kill, abduct, rape more guys that she comes across. Clearly, but no, Nix is the big bad guy. All because he wants to capture Lily. He's the evil one. The evil one we're supposed to want to see dead. Lily is the one we're supposed to feel bad for and want to see survive. No. If you guys watch Amateur Nights, I don't think any of you would buy that shit. No. I would not buy that shit. Oh. And it also contains what could be one of the best throwaway lines in horror, like when the demon finally catches up with a brave soul who unknowingly risked his life and the lives of his friends to rescue her. She pins him down on the floor like an appetizer, grins with demonic eyes, and proclaims her iconic line, "I like you." Which is all she ever really says in that segment. And back on to bad qualities, like when it seems like this movie could just end with them leaving the church and Lily just looking down at them and Jonah finally coming home to his soon-to-be wife, you could have just ended the movie there. No, we're going to continue this movie here where they're celebrating their 1-year anniversary. And when it seems like Lily was going to allow Jonah to go free because he saved her life, she was clearly like, nah, I'm going to come back. I'm going to abduct you. I'm going to abduct you anyway. I'm going to still rape the shit out of you. And then probably likely drop you to your death or probably stab you in the throat. That's probably how what happened after this movie ended. So yeah. We pretty much do a Jeepers Creepers style ending where she just takes him anyway, obviously goes back on her promise, which is obviously not shocking, because she was clearly gonna do that. Yeah, that's pretty much how the movie ends. Which did not work for me. So, yeah, that was it for the good qualities. In the end, Siren is a mixed bag. It's nice to see the best segment get turned to its own film, but it turned out we kind of really did not need it. So I think this is better as just a stream online option, and you're much better checking out the Amateur Night segment instead. Anyway, that's it for my review of Siren. If you're wondering how I'm going to rank Siren, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you're interested in this segment being turned to an 80-minute film, then honestly, it's better to just watch the short film because that was done way better than this movie, and you're probably not going to miss a thing not seeing this. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Siren, I'm going to give Siren a 5.5 out of 10. There we go. That pretty much wraps up my review for Siren. I want to know from you VHS fans, if you have seen this film adaptation, what you thought about it in the comments below. And the reason I'm reviewing this is because I do plan to watch Kids vs. Aliens, review that. Because I do want to include the spin-offs when I review these films. And yeah, but until then, guys, that will be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.